Hi, my name is Zach Fulton, and I chose to do my presentation over emotion, which is in Chapter 9 of the book. So what is emotion? The book definition is the feeling aspect of consciousness characterized by a certain physical arousal, a certain behavior that reveals the emotion to the outside world, and an inner awareness of feelings. Therefore, we all experience emotions every single day in everything we do. They come from within us as a reaction to our experience, and then it is up to us to express them externally. There are many different ways to express our emotions. Our emotions are connected to how we think and our actions. How we think or perceive an action is how we respond to it, leading to an emotion. Emotion is unavoidable. It can be expressed differently from different individuals, but it cannot be ignored from within. Emotion is actually broken down into three main elements. The first one is the physiology of emotion. When experiencing an emotion, arousal is created by the sympathetic nervous system. This means that pupils dilate, breathing becomes more rapid, and heart rate increases, and the mouth also may become dry. This happens for every emotion, and therefore they're difficult to distinguish from one another based on physiological reactions alone. But our facial expressions are one way they can differ. The second one is the behavior of emotional expression, which asks the question, how do people behave under an emotion? To show how we feel, we use our actions, body movements, and facial expressions. To produce an understanding of emotion, expressions such as frowns and smiles, combined with hand gestures, the turning of the body, and verbal words. To express our emotions through actions, we may scream if we're scared, fight if we're mad, cry if we're lonely, or laugh if we're happy. And the third element is subjective experience, labeling the emotion. Here we interpret our subjective feelings by giving it a label, such as happiness, sadness, fear, or anger. We can also label this element by calling it the cognitive element. This is because the labeling process retrieves memories of past similar experiences, perceiving the context of the emotion, then coming up with a solution or label. Comparing theories of emotion, I chose the two theories that I believe were the most interesting, which were the James Lange theory and the Cannon-Bard theory. The James Lange theory says William James, the founder of functionalist perspective in early psychology, disagreed with the common sense viewpoint because he believed the order of the components of emotions was different. His steps included: number 1, stimulus produces physiological reaction; number 2, reaction arouses the nervous system; number 3, bodily sensations are produced; number 4, labeling of the emotion. But James Lange predicted that people with spinal cord injuries should show less emotion because the injuries prevent the sympathetic nervous system from functioning. This was found to be not true, and it was found that people were actually capable of experiencing the same emotions as they were before the injury. The Cannon-Bard theory. Walter Cannon and Philip Bard theorized that the emotion and the physiological arousal occur at the same time, caused by various emotions. Cannon, who was an expert in the sympathetic arousal mechanisms, did not feel that the physical changes caused by various emotions were distinct enough to allow them to be perceived as different. His steps included: number 1, stimulus, which led to subcortical brain activity, and number 3, production of bodily sensations and emotion at the same time. Criticisms of the Cannon-Bard theory of emotion stated that the thalamus was not sophisticated enough to make sense of all the possible human emotions and relay them to the proper areas of the cortex and body. And for my last point of my presentation, I decided to do online research about the categories of basic emotions. Paul Ekman is known to support the view that emotions are discrete, measurable, and physiologically distinct. He found that certain emotions were to be universally recognized no matter what the type of culture. Another classic study found that when people perform distinct facial expressions, such as sadness, They reported personal and physiological past experiences that matched the facial expressions. Overall, his research findings led him to classify 6 emotions as basic: anger, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, and surprise. Robert Plutchik developed the Wheel of Emotions, which showed 8 primary emotions grouped on a positive or negative basis. As you can see, they are joy versus sadness, anger versus fear, trust versus distrust, and surprise versus anticipation. He also explained that some basic emotions can be modified to form complex emotions. For example, interpersonal anger and disgust could blend to form contempt. And that is my presentation, so thank you.